Wildwing by Emily Whitman. Little Pimpleton, September 1913. Miss High and Mighty. It's the same old cobbled street through the same old town, but for once I barely smell the cakes from the tea shop. Don't even pause to stare in the windows. I'm floating along. Another me, in a dream world, thanking God for sending a teacher so new she hasn't learned yet that there are somebodies and nobodies in this town, and that I am one of the nobodies. She's gone and made me the queen! I smile, remembering Caroline's horrified gasp. She used to be the nursemaid in the play. Caroline, who tells the other girls not to talk to me, who pretends I don't exist if we're in the grocer's at the same time. She turned so bright red, she looked like a furnace about to explode. I imagine Mum's face when she comes in the door tonight. I'll say, "You know those costumes you stitched from the Theatrical Society? The one you kept telling me not to touch? I'm to wear one even grander." I think of the old woman who leads us down the stairs to the costume room, lit by one dim electric bulb. There were platoons and billowing skirts and green silk shining like the river in sunlight, and a big furry bear's head grimacing on the shelf, and a pile of wings fluttered in a corner. The woman pulled out a gown, all red and golden sparkling glitter, and slipped it over my clothes. "The length is good," she said in a scratchy little voice. "We'll shorten the sleeves a bit, and the neck doesn't need to be quite so low, now does it?" Caroline whispered something to Jane in the corner, and they burst out laughing. But I didn't even care. I just kept looking at the yards and yards of rich fabric skating down around me, the stones sparkling at neck and cuff. Now, as I walk home, the street disappears. I'm so deep in imagining how I'll walk in that gown, how I'll hold my head, how I won't stand aside and meek and quiet for anyone. Suddenly a voice jabs my thoughts like a bad cobble edge under my shoe. "There she is," says Caroline, "Miss High and Mighty." Jane and Mary are with her. They stare at me and laugh. I put my head down low and keep walking. It's the best day of my life. I'm not going to let them pull it to shreds. "A queen?" Caroline sneers. "Doesn't she look it, though?" "In that old dress?" says Mary, smoothing out her well-tailored garbine. They snicker. Their bright new shoes click on the same rhythm as my amended pair. I walk faster. Caroline's voice gets harder, tactical, like a hunter closing in on her prey. "Queens come from good families. They know who their fathers are." "Right," says Jane. "It's all about how you're born." "Who's going to believe her in that role?" Caroline raises her voice so I'll hear her over the passing motor car. "They take one look and walk out." "Who's your father then, Addie?" says Mary. My feet slow as I try to repeat Mum's words, try to think them loud enough to drown out their taunts. Don't let them get to you again. Don't even look in their eyes. Just disappear into yourself. It's the only way. "That part should have been yours, Caroline," says Jane the today. "You hold yourself like a queen." "It's easy for me," says Caroline, tossing her head. "My mother isn't a slut." "Look at her dress, it's all worn all month." "Ragtag queen, second-hand queen." I won't, I think. I won't. But I feel my fingers closing into a fist in my pocket. "Can't be queen without a father." "Like mother, like daughter." Their voices get louder and louder, drowning out the quiet words in my head until my familiar black anger comes surging through me, drowning all of Mom's words. And I swing. The door opens. Mom comes in and sees me, my needle slipping lightly fast through the rip in my skirt. Neat little stitches I'd hoped to have finished before she came home, so tiny she wouldn't notice them. She shakes her head, sighing, and there are years of disappointment in that sigh. "I tripped." My words come out too fast. Even I wouldn't believe them. "On my way home, the curb, I didn't see it, and Miss Miller saw you through the grocer's window. She told me." I know better than to say anything. My only hope now is to look meek and obedient. I turn back to my stitching, but inside I'm praying as hard as I can. Let her forgive what she said last time. Please let her forget. God isn't listening. "So I found you a place. Addie, it's time you left school." Her words are a seam ripper, slashing through everything that holds me together. "Not now," I cry. "There has to be play, and—" "Yes, now." She takes off her hat and slaps it down on the shelf, hangs her coat on the hook. "I heard Mrs. Beale is leaving to care for her sick daughter in London. She does so for Mr. Greenwood. He'll be needing someone. Mr. Greenwood? But he's a little batty. She sinks into the other chair. There's no harm in him. A place like this won't come along again soon. Not in this village. We couldn't hope for better. Here's the thing. Mum makes her way by disappearing into the woodwork, becoming small, invisible, a mouse who tiptoes in and gratefully nibbles the crumbs that the great folks leave behind. She's always cutting out fabric, always stitching so I can stay in school. And I work hard, I do, but I keep hearing the other girls whisper, "Bastard, bastard, bastard." Then there's trouble, and it's always my fault. Mum is looking at my face. What is it then? How can I tell her what it means to me? The chance to be in this play. To be someone people look up to for once. Even if it's only on stage. But to explain, I need to start with what they say about me, and about her. What it was like when I was young. The teasing, the names. No one to play with because they were all too happy to explain. Their mothers warned them to stay away from me. As if I would taint them. What's it still like? The raised eyebrows, the cold wind as they swerve to avoid me in the halls. But I can't tell Mum that, so all I say is, 2 months until the performance, please, and then I'll go wherever you tell me. She shakes her head. You'll have found someone else. But you're the one that kept me in school this year, said I should stay as long as we could manage it. And so I did, she says softer, and so I did. Something flutters in my chest. One more sigh from her, and I'm safe. But then her voice turns bitter. Now I see I was wrong. What good has it done? Tell me that. Making you dream of things you can't have? Because no matter how quick and bright you may be, you'll still wear a maid's apron when all is said and done. A maid in a good house if you're lucky. A sculler's slavery if you're not. You won't do better than this place. For God's sake, I was 10 years old when I went into service, and you're a great girl of 15. She stands and walks a few steps to the side of the room. That counts as our kitchen. Opens the cupboard, rummages for the potatoes and an onion. You've been getting above your station, not watching your words with your betters, let alone your fists. She reaches for the knife, and now it's steady chop chop. Underlines her anger. It's their money puts this roof over our heads, puts the food on our table. Something rises inside me, fighting what she says. And I cry, but I'm to be the queen! The queen, she exclaims, looking to stare at me. That's the problem right there. Exactly who do you think you are? For a moment, the knife is pointing right at my heart. When it resumes chopping, her back is to me again, a solid wall. Why must you keep drawing attention to yourself, holding up your head so high, wearing your hair loose down your back, calling every eye to you? The boys stare, enough as it is. It's no wonder the others tease you. The acrid sting of the onions fill the air. Mum wipes the crook of her elbow across her eyes. For a moment I think she's crying, but her voice is steel as she says, Get your head out of the clouds, Addie. This is the life you were born to. The knife thunks down. This is the life you have to live.